Welcome to At Your Library. I'm your host, Cathleen Clifford. Recently, the Groton Public Library had a ribbon cutting ceremony on our new toy library. And joining us today are the two women that made it possible. Please welcome Diana Caty and Mary Didiuk, from Traveling Toys to At Your Library. Welcome. The library is very excited to be able to offer a new lending collection, toys. So I am wondering, what exactly is a toy library? Please tell our viewers what they can expect and what they can come and check out.
Well, Kathleen, thank you for having us here today. We were really excited to work with the Groton Public Library, and a toy library is just as simple as it sounds. It's a library that lends toys. And a toy library is basically built on the social foundation that people already understand from what traditional book lending libraries offer.
Nice. Is there a history of toy libraries that you all discovered and decided that, hey, we want to do this too? How, tell us about the history.
So before we started Traveling Toys, and before we even knew the history of toy libraries, when we started to look into it, there's a really rich and interesting history with toy libraries. So the first toy library started in the Depression. A store owner noticed that children were stealing toys, and instead of him reporting them to the police, he decided to get together with community members and establish the first, what they called a toyery, which was a toy loan library program.
Okay.
And so what this allowed children to do was to check out toys for 5 weeks, and they gave children incentives so that they would care for the toys and then return them.
Oh, okay.
And what this community really believed in is that along with playgrounds and libraries, toys should be free. And so this was in the Los Angeles area in the Depression. This program is still working today.
Really?
It actually services 35,000 children in the LA area at 54 different locations, which include preschools, churches, social services, the YMCA, and libraries.
Wow, that's fantastic. And so what came about to you to establishing the Traveling Toys?
Well, so before we get to there,
yes.
So that was in the early, 1935, I think. So then, toy libraries kind of simmered down a little bit, but there was a huge spike in them again in the 60s and the 70s because people were worried about equity, and the government started the Head Start program, and they also started its Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and both of those looked at children's education and their wellness. And so then this was a time when the government started to fund toy libraries to kind of supplement the education there. And then as we went to 1980s, arriving from Switzerland was this, I'm probably going to say the name wrong because it's, and not Switzerland, Sweden, it was called Lekotek.
Okay.
And the term in Swedish actually means play library.
Oh, okay,
but
nice.
These libraries were designed for children that had learning disabilities and needed some special needs.
Okay.
And with those libraries, they brought in an educator that would teach parents and children how to use the toys so that when they achieved a specific milestone through the toys, that would really help them.
Oh, okay.
And so just, looking at the toy libraries in 1984, USA Toy Library Association was formed. 1990, the International Toy Library Association was formed, along with 12 other countries, including the United States.
Wow.
So as we
countries,
yeah,
this is huge.
I know, we didn't realize at the time this was like a global thing. And so as we, fast forward from the 80s into the 90s, people started worrying then about the environment, right? And so where do all these toys that you have go? I mean, it's a $20 billion industry a year. 87% of them end up in landfills. And so now they were worried about poverty, they were worried about the equity, and now they're worried about the environment. And so today in the United States, there's 400 active toy libraries, Some of them are standalone, and the majority of them are within libraries.
Within libraries. And is there a specific part of the country, or are they everywhere?
Mostly, it's California has a ton of them, and then the Midwest. And when we were looking, Connecticut has a couple spots of them, but there was not that much in Connecticut.
You found a need here. And you're both from Connecticut?
Well, we both live in Connecticut now.
Yeah, yes, you're both Connecticut residents.
Yes.
So you wanted to help your local communities.
Right.
Excellent. And when did you start? How many, I guess we want to know, when did you start and how many libraries have you been working with so far?
So we co-founded Traveling Toys together in 2019, and we really got the idea from my mother. When my children were 7 and 8 years old, when they were at school, we were kind of moving those toys out that they don't use because, you know, you get a toy and then it sits there. And we were packaging them for Goodwill and for my children's school and friends, and she said, you know, after doing this multiple times, she's like, you really need a toy library. And so when Diana and I had been friends for such a long time, Diana really had the vision to put this into libraries because the impact would really push it to all different communities rather than having it in like one central store where then people all over Connecticut would have to drive to. So together, I think we you know, had this great idea together to do this, and it's started in 2019 before things kind of shut down, but this has been the year it's kind of ramped up.
Nice. And so what talents do you each bring to the Traveling Toys?
So for myself, I'm a scientist by training, and I think I love to look at trends and numbers and research, and that's what I think is fun. And then when I had my children, you know, it brought a whole different thing into my life that I didn't have before. And I've worked with my children's school, which goes from preschool all the way to up to 8th grade on their board for the past 8 years.
Okay.
And so I will just say that they really, at the school, understand how play is so important for children. And even like for older children, we have recess still twice a day, which has kind of gone out of style in a lot of schools. But I think people are now realizing, you know, kids just need that time. It doesn't have to all be, you know, your learning doesn't have to happen, you know, at a desk.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Nice. This is great. We're going to take a quick break right now, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about toy libraries, how other communities can get involved, and how best to reach you. And we'll talk a little bit about what we have going on here in Groton as well. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the-right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Hey, boss. Okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
You sure?
I said I'm fine.
Since I was little, it was only like me and my parents.
You think you created family out of characters?
Yeah, of course.
I'm gonna take that, make it into a song.
Put me to bed, see you in the morning. With the frosted Superman, but it wasn't on it. And we lost it. In my head, in my head, in my head. Where you at, on the way out? In my head, in my head, in my head.
Hey, son.
Hey, Pop.
You can talk to me.
It's been really, really hard for me.
Welcome back to At Your Library. We're here today with Diana and Mary from Traveling Toys, who have recently helped the Groton Public Library open our toy library here. And we've heard from Mary, so now Diana, I'm going to put you in the hot seat a little bit. What do you bring to this Traveling Toys? What are your talents that you've brought to help grow this?
All right, well, first of all, I just want to thank you for providing us with this forum to talk about our nonprofit. We really appreciate it. As far as talents, I believe that my communication skills have contributed to our success as a nonprofit. My background is I was an English major. I just love to write. I went on to law school. My first job was as a prosecutor. And I just feel as if these skills have contributed to what we've needed to do to be successful. We've needed to establish relationships. We've needed to find funding. We've needed to write grants. And it's been a great journey, but I feel as if we both have just worked really hard, I think. We persevered when we just weren't sure whether, we were talking to the right people, and I think that we're a good team.
That's fantastic. So you balance each other out so nicely.
So my other life experiences, I'm a mother of 3 and I'm a grandmother, and I feel as if I've watched the importance of having age-appropriate toys for children, and how they develop so well with that, and that it's the toys that really foster play and imagination. And I've been fortunate that my children and my granddaughter have these toys, or have had these toys, and they've developed and had, just wonderful childhoods, really, with the ability to just have joy in what they're doing. And I feel as if all the children in our community should have that opportunity. So that's, I think, where we came from with thinking about Traveling Toys, is we really want to give back, and we added teenagers to our model, and we feel as if we're reaching out to a large population of children and teens, and we're just very proud of that.
That's fantastic. Communities you always see food drives and clothing drives and things like that, but I think that people forget some of the most important tools that we can give our children growing up, and one of them is to have that freedom to be innocent and play and learn through doing, and not take on the stress of their environment. So by you offering this, it's letting children that might not have this opportunity have it, and it's wonderful, and we can't thank you enough here in Groton that you've added to it, because we have a very large community in Groton of all different backgrounds, and this way, adding another thing to our library lets us just reach our public even more, and we couldn't have done it without the help of both of you.
Yeah. No, we feel very grateful to be here. I think with Mary's idea of establishing these libraries, and my vision of partnering with libraries so that we could have reach the most children and give them access, it's just been wonderful. I mean, we feel as if libraries are just a trusted institution, and they're not traditional they're not working as a traditional library. They're
not anymore. Libraries have really morphed and changed as times have changed, and we've needed to do it. And it's so great that this is just like another aspect that we can offer. And some people come into the library and they don't even know what we do, and to come in and think, okay, I'm going to get my child a book, but then see all the different things, learning how to read, potty training DVDs, books, and now we have certain computer games, things that help their children with their homework, but now toys and programs, and just so much that we can offer, and I just feel like everything that we do here in Groton that helps another level is just so welcome.
Yeah, I mean, we just value our relationships too with the librarians. I mean, they're so wonderful in that their focus is really on helping the children and teens develop.
Yes.
And we feel as if it's been a wonderful partnership, because when we get together, we're just a team, and we all want the same thing. We want to be
wonderful.
Be part of what we consider really a community center in helping them.
And that's what we are becoming. So it's really nice. Now, I know people are thinking, okay, who's paying for this? So I guess we'll answer their questions. Where does the funding come from for the toys?
Well, we were very fortunate with our first library. We were fortunate with all of them, but our first library, when we approached Westbrook Public Library, and the Westbrook Foundation granted us the money, and
Fantastic.
we applied right before the pandemic hit.
Okay.
And we held our breath, and they turned around. They granted all the money we needed to start up that library
In March of 2020.
And we were
Wow,
we were
right.
so thrilled. We thought, and then we've continued on. That first library, it was just for children under age, I think 10. Is that right? And
Okay.
then when we thought of approaching New London, we talked to the Community Foundation of Eastern Connecticut, and their recommendation was that we should include teens in our projects. And so I think that was just such great advice. We included the teens, and now for the remaining 4 libraries that will be opening, or 3 are open and 1 will be opening, they include a teen component.
Great.
And
Now,
so-
did you go back and add teens to Westbrook, or is that something they're thinking of?
I think we probably will. We have
Okay,
not. We've
great.
honestly been so busy as we continue to move forward that we haven't, but I think we will. So
Wonderful.
we've been fortunate with the community foundations. The Community Foundation of Eastern Connecticut has funded the New London Library.
Okay, great.
The Community Foundation for Greater New Haven funded the donor advice. They recommended donors to come in, and the donor advised funds have funded the West Haven Library. And then Groton, we're thrilled to be here, and we thank you again.
Yes.
So it's Dime Bank and Groton Utilities that provided this funding.
It's great. Groton Utilities does do a lot for our community, and Dime Bank is a very trusted institution. So it's nice to be able to thank them as well for what we have here. And I don't think, if the people are watching this, they might not know what we actually have to offer. And I think it's great to know that we have toys from 0 all the way up through the teenagers. We have learn and play toys. We have puzzles. We have video games. We have board games, which, by the way, we've only been open a few weeks with the toy library, and the board games are a hit. They are a hit. I think kids, we think, oh, they're always attached to their devices, they're always plugged in, but I find with having a teenager of my own, she loves to sit and play a board game. And it's fantastic that now, what if it doesn't work for you, and you want to just try it before you spend this amount of money, and it's not Christmas all the time, so it's so nice to be able to try something different and have a toy to play.
And we love the idea of board games too, because we want
great.
to encourage the social interaction. And so that's obviously when you sit down and play a board game, it's not about the game, it's about just having fun and the conversation.
And it's about bringing back families to sit around the table again. And, we talk about it. Everybody knows what you should do and what you shouldn't do as a parent and helping. But sometimes we get around, all wound up with life. And it's nice just to be able to be like, hey, let's turn the TV off and open this board game and have a nice night. What if a library's watching this and they say, hey, I want this in my community? How can they go about applying?
I think what we do is our relationship is in phases. What we do is we either reach out to them, or we've had libraries reach out to us with articles in the paper. So that's really wonderful. And so what we do is we meet and we talk about what their thoughts are, what they envision for their toy library and teen library, and then we tell them what our thoughts are as far as what we recommend as far as toys, all plastic.
Oh, so you can help through the process,
We
which
help
is
through
so
the process.
important.
So we get involved right away.
Great.
And even the first meeting, we'll talk about different toys, but we'll also talk about funding opportunities, and we just discuss about finding money for the library. And then once we take on the grant writing, and we apply, and what we do is as we write the grant, we need to establish a budget. And so we're involved with them with what they think they want in that budget. And we recommend certain things because the toys will be in containers. And certain things you might be surprised they might not fit, they might be a little unwieldy. So we have conversations about what we recommend, and then once hopefully we get the grant, we review the budget again, because obviously months have gone by and things might not be available. But we offer to come in and help unpack.
Great.
And
so
set everything up.
Hands-on completely.
Yep. And
that must be a nice relief to the organizations.
I think so. And we also want everyone to know that we're committed to stay involved. So even once it's open and things get going, things may get lost, they might get broken, and we want to stay involved. We want to stay involved in our relationships, but also we want to make sure that it's a success. So we will find more money for them if we need it. We'll just be available to them for whatever is needed in the future.
Well, we have time for one more question, so I'm going to ask, what's next for Traveling Toys?
Oh, I guess I'll start. Right now our partnerships are libraries, and it's worked so well because we're giving children and teens access to wonderful toys for development and games. But we're open to any suggestions. We're a new nonprofit, and we're just thrilled to have the opportunity to really be successwill, to be having libraries and these donors trust us that we will get it done and have it all set up for the community.
Fantastic.
But we're open to conversations as long as we want to fulfill our mission, which is to give access to children and teens for age-appropriate toys and games.
Fantastic. Well, Groton Public Library thanks you for helping us open our toy library, and I hope everybody knows they can stop in when we're open and check it out. And thank you so much to Diana and Mary for joining us today and enlightening us more about it. And if you have any questions, is there a way that people can reach out to you?
Yeah, they can find us on our website, which is travelingtoys.info, www.travelingtoys.info, or they can find us on Instagram and Facebook, and all of our information's on our website. So
fantastic. So if anybody has any questions or they'd like to get involved or maybe even donate some money, they know how they can get in touch with you. So thank you so much for coming.
All right, thanks for having us.
This has been At Your Library. Thanks for checking in.